requested by Michelle Minahan, who is Human Resources Enterprise Chief Operating Officer for the Department of Administrative Services. And we have Jim Reardon, Chairperson of the Public Employment Relations Board. Thank you both for being with us today. I think we have this room until, I believe, 1 o'clock, so we'll see how long it takes to get through our questions. And I know Senator McCoy was the first to request, followed by Shane John.
Good morning, Jim, and I'd like to initially just start with you. I wanted to, first of all, welcome you back to the Senate, as I know you've spent a few years here. And I also wanted to thank you for coming in. I know that it isn't a real comfortable place to be, and I want you to feel welcome here, and I want you to feel comfortable here, and know that the Senate is a place where we believe in transparent and open government, and anything you say here is a welcome message. So feel free to share with us. I wondered if you could give us kind of some of the background on what the PERB Board does, because so many of my folks have said, what exactly does this PERB Board do, and why do they call it PERB Board anyway? So Jim, why don't you just start with that?
All right, thank you, Senator McCoy, and senators and House members and guests. I'm happy to be invited to be here today. It has been almost 20 years since I served in the Senate, which I can hardly believe, but that's the truth. And so I do feel at home here because I spent 9 years in the Iowa Senate, and those were great years in my life, and so it's good to be back. The Public Employment Relations Board was established in 1974. It was established in the Public Employment Relations Act that was passed at that time, and was signed into law by Governor Ray. It is the basis of the collective bargaining law in the state of Iowa in the public sector, allowing public sector employees, be it state, county, city level employees, and teachers across the state, are allowed to organize and go through a process of being recognized as the bargaining unit for their area, for their school, or for their town, or whatever, and then engage in collective bargaining. The PERB Board is charged with promoting harmonious and cooperative relationships between government and its employees. That's the charge given to us in the 1974 legislature, and it still stands this day. And we take the regulatory role that we have very seriously. PERB was created to have a arm's length distance between everybody else in government, because at one time or another, literally every state agency ends up in front of the PERB Board on a complaint, whether it's a prohibited practice complaint, whether it's involving a declaratory order, or a question about, is this subject mandatory or permissive? So the idea was to create a board that is appointed by the governor, confirmed by the Senate, but is kind of held at arm's length. It's supposed to be really kind of an autonomous agency, and we're directed to be a neutral agency. So the only way to build credibility with management representatives and labor representatives is to come to really be a true neutral in our functions. We provide mediation service to the parties to get their contracts settled. We have a list of arbitrators, several from Iowa, but also arbitrators are on our list from other states. And if the parties hit impasse, they go through a mediation process. If that doesn't work, then they can go to arbitration, and this is in terms of contract arbitration. And our computer just randomly generates 5 names that goes to the parties. They strike until there's one person left, and that's who their arbitrator is. In terms of other functions, we adjudicate. There's a lot of adjudication involved with our agency in terms of if one party or the other has a complaint in terms of how the contract is being interpreted, they can file with our office, and we usually try to get involved in mediating those disputes as well. We'll get into the grievance process here in a little bit, but a lot of grievances end up on the doorstep of PERB. Back in 1986, when there was a major reorganization of state government, all the merit appeals were shifted to PERB as the point of the last point that merit appeals would go to, and PERB would act as hearing officers to determine whether those merit appeals were valid or not valid, how that stood, and frankly, the record on merit appeals is about 50-50. 50% of the time the employer wins, 50% of the time the employee wins in those. On other cases in our office, we look back several years, and about 73% of all the cases that have been filed at PERB in the last 5 to 8 years have been ruled in favor of the employer. So there was a concern, and if I'm rambling too much, just cut me off, Senator, because I used to be a senator, so I know we're accused of talking a lot.
Finish this point, because I do have some other questions to get to.
Well, I lost it now, so just go ahead.
You said 73%.
Oh, 73% of the adjudicated cases have been found in favor of the employer. And I know, the point I was going to make is that there was a great deal of misperception, and concern that was expressed a few years ago when the Branson administration came into office, that PERB was biased towards labor, that we were somehow very biased, and the facts just speak differently. And I guess I just want to make that point. The facts speak differently. And in my 12 years as chair, uppermost to me was protecting and enhancing the integrity of that agency. We are the neutral body for people to come to, whether it's a management person or whether it's a labor person, a union person. We wanted to make sure that the integrity of being a neutral body where people could get a fair hearing is critically important to me, and always has been. And I just wanted to state that.
Thank you. You're chairman of the board currently?
Until April 30th.
Okay. And your board position ends on April 30th.
Right.
You've not been reappointed.
That's correct.
Okay. So how many administrative law judges are working in your office currently on the per board business?
We currently have 5 administrative law judges and 2 clerical people to help us, and then the 3 board members are full-time.
And how many cases are you hearing on an annual basis?
Oh my, I did not bring those statistics with me. I can certainly...
It's not a trick question.
Yeah, I didn't bring that stuff with me. I can certainly get it sent over to you.
Well, that's fine, Jim. I'm actually interested in the Des Moines Register article that I read this morning over my coffee. I see that there was an issue related to an administrative law judge by the name of Bob Wilson. Can you give me some of the background on how Mr. Wilson came to you for appointment?
Yes, I will. The traditional hiring process is that a position is advertised and applicants are received and then screened, and then there are interviews, and then there is a hire done. In this particular case, in 2012, I think kind of late summer is when this process started. We being the board members, the 3 board members, were basically told that they had a person that they wanted to put on our staff, and they had created an FTE and had put money in the budget for it, and we asked, well, who is it? And we weren't told. We basically...
Who did the telling?
This is kind of hard.
I want to stop for a second and just start back. Let's just stay with the facts here.
A guy that I like a lot was the one that taught. Jeff Boink, as chief of staff, was the one that he was the message carrier basically, and he said, And he talked to Janelle and Jamie and I, all three of us, and basically said, you know, we've got this person that we want to put on your staff to help you with your caseload and to just kind of help see if they can straighten things around there a little bit, you know. And I want to make clear, we never asked for an additional FTE. We never asked for the money for an additional FTE. But he made it clear to us that if we weren't willing to go along with this idea, there were going to be serious consequences related to the budget.
Okay.
You know, he didn't say it in that exact word, but it was a very thinly, you know, I felt that there was a gun to my head and said, you know, do this, or you're going to have big consequences.
So you get a call, and it's the chief of staff or the governor saying, I've got a person for you, I've got a position, I'm here to help, and I'm not going to give you the person's name. They didn't give you the name.
Not until we agreed to hire the person and had agreed upon a salary level.
Okay. And how did that come about?
Again, just through a series of face-to-face meetings with Mr. Boink,
Okay.
and then when you know, again, we felt like we really had no choice, that we had to protect. We had to keep trying to do our business, and we were very concerned that the budget would be severely damaged if we didn't go along with this. So then we finally met Mr. Wilson and talked with him, and he came in November of 2012. Started working then.
So go back to the phone call, your initial phone call with Mr. Boyne. What was your initial reaction to that phone call?
My initial reaction was, that's not how we do it here. You know, this isn't the way we hire people. And in my 14 years at PERG, 12 as chair, we've only hired 2 people. You know, the turnover rate is not high there. Our ALJs work hard and like what they do, and they stay. And so we've only had 2 hires since I've been there. And in terms of ALJ staff, there was 1 clerical also during that time. But, you know, it was completely against the manner in which the board has always acted previously. In the history of the board, no governor's office has ever intervened in this way to tell us you will hire this person. And that's what we were told. You will hire this person.
So in terms of the implied threats, I want to get back to that. You indicated that you felt that your budget could be jeopardized, and what exactly does that mean? And how did that come about?
Well, what it meant was that we would probably end up having to lay people off if we didn't cooperate. You know that, and it would also mean that the board salaries would probably be cut too to the minimum level. That was the other feeling that we were all getting too.
So that I'm clear, those threats were all coming from the same person, just one person.
Yeah.
Right?
And again, I like Jeff Boink, but it felt very heavy-handed to me. This was a very heavy-handed kind of request, or not a request. It was, you shall do this.
Yeah.
You know.
So essentially, let me ask you, how has Mr. Wilson worked out?
Well, I don't want to disparage Bob Wilson, but frankly, it has been very disruptive in our office since he got there, in my opinion. I'm giving you my opinion.
Jim, you're the chair of the board.
Yeah.
So give me your opinion.
Okay, well, my opinion is it hasn't worked out very well. He has had some good ideas. We have implemented some of his ideas, but in fact, there have been a lot of other things that have happened in the office internally that have caused a lot of consternation, and it's been a source of great tension for. Again, we're a very small agency, so you know it's kind of a family, and you see each other all the time, and you know, but it's been very, very uncomfortable because we have witnessed I'm down at the end of the hall where my office is, but others in my shop have witnessed multiple phone calls from him to the governor's office. We knew that was going on. There are lots of closed-door meetings between him and Jamie Van Fossen, you know, and you just kind of want, well, okay, what's going on now? You know, what's coming at us now? And then there's, when we've had staff meetings, part of it is his demeanor. I guess he's very insistent that he's correct. And, you know, I get, it's important to be able to disagree and keep moving forward. And anyway, it's been very disruptive since he got there. So my last year and a half here on the board has been the most volatile time that I've had in my 14 years. And a lot of it is because of what he brought into the office, in my opinion. And I think everybody was on edge because they felt like he was spying on us, that he was put there to spy on us, that he was put there to try to guide outcomes, especially you know, especially to try to help Mr. Van Fossen see a different point of view and not rely on the staff that we have or the other board members. Those are my opinions.
So in terms of his work product, the cases he's heard and ruled on, how has that been?
At least 2 board members, me being one of them, have deep concerns about the work product that has been produced thus far.
How so?
Well, there is one case that and I got to be careful what I talk about as far as active cases.
I understand.
But one case that he issued recently, the board voted on its own motion to bring that case to the board. Usually when an ALJ decision is written and been issued, the board sits and waits to see whether the parties are going to appeal. And then if they don't appeal, it becomes final agency action. In this case, we thought there was something in there so egregious that we took it up on our own motion to take that decision and rewrite it. And that's in process now. Frankly, there were things put in that decision that had no business being there, and so that's an example I can talk about. The other work products, I think, we've got real concerns about it, about those decisions. There's also the issue of lack of willingness to work as a case processor. He seems to want to just go right to hearing, you know, or he doesn't like the fact that we try to get the parties together and try to get voluntary settlements. Yeah, and maybe that's because he was a judge before and he's very geared at doing hearings, and I understand that. But still, that's a problem, you know, because what we, the board, have said to him is you're supposed to process the cases, you're supposed to try really hard to get the parties to come to an agreement voluntarily and not go to the expense of hearings. You know, our job is to try to save taxpayer money. And I'm serious about that. We do that on a regular basis by getting voluntary settlements. We are saving taxpayer money.
So the bottom line is you got a call from the chief of staff, arguably one of the most powerful guys in state government, saying we've got a person for you. We want to bring them on. We're here to help. And if you don't help, we're gonna cut your budget.
I didn't say cut your budget. You just said there would be consequences.
Consequences.
Yeah, there would be consequences.
I know what that means in my house, so I don't know about your house, but okay. Well, I appreciate your information, Jim. This is very helpful, and you've answered all